Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, Gun, and today we're here with our first episodic review for the first episode of Gangsta. I'm a week late. Episode 2 is already out. I'm going to be doing a review following this one, so you'll be seeing both. But I decided for the structure of these reviews, since I don't want to fuck with copyright too much, and I don't, because the series are ongoing and there's licensing issues and all that. Uh, I'm more or less just going to put up a picture pertaining to the series, maybe cool fan art or wallpapers. We're going to do our episode review. I'm going to try to keep it short and concise. That way we're not here too long, and we're just going to leave it at that. I would love to do more expansive editorials on this kind of shit, but I feel like I might save that if I'm doing a review for a series, because otherwise I don't really want to chance any copyright issues whatsoever. So bear with me. But let's jump right fucking into it. First episode of Gangsta. So, quick fucking synopsis before we jump into that. Just a little prelude. I fucking love the Gangsta manga. I found this about a year and a half back. I fell in love with Warwick and Nicholas and Nicostrellum and all the other characters there. I got a very strong kind of Black Lagoon vibe. And I read a lot of seinen manga, so coming off of Dendro Bates and Shamo and everything else I was kind of reading at the time, Gangsta was a perfect fucking fit. It was a bi-monthly series, and I believe where we're at right now, we're up to like chapter 37, maybe 38. And I remember just kind of progressively getting through the series, enjoying every minute of it. I'd start my mornings reading a chapter, and eventually I caught up, and then somewhere down the line I heard there was going to be an anime adaptation. Prior to this, there was like a light novel reading recording, so you got to hear what Warwick and Nyx and a few other characters' voices that would be like that transitioned over to the anime, which we'll get to all that in a moment. But then I saw the PV and I freaked the fuck out because I love this series, and if you aren't familiar with the manga, I would definitely go suggest reading it. But if you do want to stick with the anime, you are in for a fucking ride, I can assure you of that. So without any more delay and my fanboyism aside, let's just jump right into it. So first thing I want to talk about is the intro. Now, I think the intro is pretty fucking bomb. It showcases almost all the characters that we're going to be seeing. Loretta, D'Alessio, Marco, Connie, Auntie Joel, Warwick, Nina, Dr. Theo. The whole ensemble's pretty much there. We get to see Nick jump around and shit. And then Alex is kind of in her BDSM outfit, which, outside of the first couple of arcs, sex is always going to be a prevalent, occurring theme in Gangsta. But more or less, like the nudity and the kind of extreme sexual content outside of the first couple episodes is more or less going to be more in line with some of the cover art that Kosuke has done, where Alex is doing a few more suggested poses and stuff that's more relevant to her prostitution. Because outside of this kind of first arc here, Alex goes through a huge character change, but we're not going to go into that entirely. But it's very reminiscent of the cover art if you guys are familiar with the manga series, and it's really cool, very stylized. I liked it. And so instead of kind of going over the overview of the episode for this, I kind of want to get my opinions and impressions out there. Not that there isn't a lot to cover here, but outside of just this simple fact, you're introduced to Benriya, you're introduced to Nicholas and Warwick, and Alex, and then you go through this case of where you get to see some of the family meetings, and they're directly going to be dealing with this local pimp, and Benriya kind of comes into that, and Alex is kind of intertwined, and we kind of get our introductions to all the characters that way. So I kind of want to hit on a few things that is going to persist throughout the series, and I want to see how it goes. Animation quality was something that I really wanted to bring up because I was a little nervous considering that the manga art is really fucking good. I'm a big fan of it, and it's not like fucking Berserk level, it's not Mura, like it's a bi-monthly series to my knowledge, so it does take a while, even if they are 20-page chapters, to get everything in there, but that's because they're detailed. And transitioning over, I feel like for the most part, it looks really good. I'm not entirely used to the coloration yet, but I feel like it's relatively fitting. It kind of gives it a gritty feel. And as far as the fight scenes and the animation goes, that's fine. It does seem a little patchy in some places, but outside of just here and there, everything seems pretty solid. I'm not expecting like a fucking Fate Zero budget, because, I mean, this is a new series, and It's a new property. It's not like fucking Gynax. It's like, oh, hey, here's the Ava rebuild budget. Fuck it for Gangsta. But I'm pretty satisfied with what we have so far. As far as the voice actors go, perfect. I find Warwick's extremely fitting. Alex has a really pretty voice. Most of the characters work really well, and this goes in. I would agree with this more going into more episode 2 territory, but I'll touch on that for the next review. And I was really happy that they nailed Nicholas's voice because obviously Nick is deaf, so they're not doing internal narration for some of the sign language, which I think is cool. Which is something that happens in the series, so you kind of get to read Nick's thoughts, and obviously that's how they convey either his internal thoughts or the dialogue through the sign language. But his broken English or his broken speaking fits perfectly, and it's fucking menacing, and it's badass. Totally fitting. I'm really happy with it. Connie's and everyone else's voice that we heard in the first episode. I'm happy with it. And as far as just it kind of living up to the manga, as far as the badassery perspective goes, I really like that there isn't super amounts of censorship. That's something I had a big issue with Triage X, considering that the manga is relatively graphic, and then jumping into the anime, like, we might as well have been fucking staring at a blank color palette during any scene where violence was occurring. Outside of a cool stylized kills, you didn't get to see much. Thankfully with Gangsta, that doesn't seem to be the case. I think they aren't showing a few things, which is understandable. But for the most part, we're getting all the blood and guts we can really care for. So that's fine with me. And outside of that, I'm pretty happy with everything. The last scene where Nick and them are waving towards Alex's pimp and stuff like that, really fucking cool. It definitely hit the mark. And I don't remember this because I think it's been a minute since I've gone back and read like the introductory chapter and a few others. I don't remember Warwick fucking skimming the back of Nick's head with the bullet. That shit was fucking hilarious. I busted a gut a little bit on that. But I'm really excited for the series moving forward, guys. Let me know what you think. If you are just jumping into Gangsta, welcome. Stick with the anime if you want, but I would definitely suggest picking up the manga because it's a fantastic read. But without further ado, just kind of leave your comments and thoughts below, and I will catch you guys relatively soon for the episode 2 review. So until then, I'll see you guys later.